In today's video, I'm going to be showing you a simple way to understand arranging your songs because it can seem confusing for a lot of new producers. Specifically, here's one easy technique to know how many patterns you need in each of your sections when you make a song. And if you want a deeper dive into this, go to sixstepmusic.com/guide. So the song I'm going to be using to demonstrate this concept is Miniskirt by AOA. And the reason why I like this song is because in each section, the number of patterns doesn't change. For example, the verse doesn't change when we move to the verse 2. Same thing with the pre-chorus. The pre-chorus doesn't change when we hit the pre-chorus on number 2. So because of that, it's a really easy example of showing you the progression in patterns because we only need to worry about the type of pattern and not necessarily the copies of that type of pattern. So when it comes to arranging the number of patterns in your song, the biggest thing you need to understand is the energy level of each of your sections. And when I say energy level, I mean the intensity of the physical movement of somebody when they move to your song. So on a scale from 1 to 5, a 1 would be somebody who's barely moving to your song, while a 5 would be somebody dancing to your song. It's something like that. So for each of your sections, your intro, your verse, your pre-chorus, your chorus, and your bridge, those standard sections, you need to figure out what type of energy is going to be in each of those sections. Now in Miniskirt's case, we have a ramp up in energy, meaning that our intro to our chorus ramps up from a slow groove all the way to a bigger movement until it breaks the pattern in the bridge where it completely severs that energy and just drops in and goes into a quieter ballad. So when you label your energy for each of these sections, and when you do this, that's where you start to layer in the number of patterns associated with that energy. The general rule of thumb is the lower energy of that section, the lower number of patterns that you need to put in the song. The higher energy of the section means the higher number of patterns you need to put into the song. Now, this doesn't necessarily mean that a level 1 energy means just putting one pattern into your song. It just means that the level 1 energy has to have less patterns than a level 2 energy. So let me show you what I mean. So in this specific case, we have a ramp up in energy from the intro to the chorus. So if I play the intro right now, we have this lower energy groove until we hit the verse when we include 3 extra patterns to increase the energy up to maybe like a 3 or 4. And then we increase the energy again to maybe like a 4 or 4.5 in the pre-chorus. Until finally in the chorus when we eventually hit that 5. And notice how the energy of the section directly correlates with the number of patterns in that section. We have lower number of patterns in our lower level sections, and then we continue to increase the number of patterns as we increase in energy. Now, the chorus specifically is a little different because it increases energy by changing the sound design of some of the instruments. For example, our typical chords that we played in our pattern 3, change it to more frequencies and more pitch with the guitars. And the same thing can be said in our second part of our chorus when eventually we hit our trumpets. Which is why if we play the second part of our chorus versus our first part of the chorus, it sounds a lot more higher energy because we're using sound design to increase that energy. But this is an exception and not necessarily the best foundational guideline. The key thing here is to understand again that the increase in the number of patterns will increase the energy levels of your song. And then finally in our bridge, you're going to notice that it drops in energy because we only have one pattern. So again, when it comes to deciding how many patterns you want to put into your specific section, think about the energy level of that section and then put in the number of patterns corresponding to that section. Higher energy levels means more patterns, lower energy levels means less patterns. And again, if you want a deeper dive into this to understand how this concept of arranging your sections is used to create full songs, click the link below this video or go to sixstepmusic.com/guide for a free guide. And thanks for watching.